Gherin, here we go.
All
How are
right.
you?
I'm good.
So, it's our first episode here of the podcast, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about a few things of interest.
Okay.
So the first one is Roblox, the video game,
All
and the
right.
platform, and the whole thing. I know a subject of great interest to you. So,
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about it. Tell me a little bit about how it works, how it operates, and what you're interested in.
Well, I'll definitely go into depth on definitely the good stuff about it and the fun stuff about it, and then eventually I will get into the flaws. But I will start off with the positive stuff, and I'm going to say that most of the games that are made on Roblox uh, have basically a whole list of genres that you can that of your interest. Basically including horror, adventure, first-person shooter, or whatever, made by people on the platform. Like if you wanted to create an account and go to Roblox, and if you create an account, you also create an account for Roblox Studio, and you can also build your own games as well, with the experience, of course, and publish it to Roblox. I definitely would say that it's definitely very fun. Most of the games, um, and I think it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very, I guess I should just say fun for anybody who wants to play it according to what genre of video gaming they're interested in. Like I just stated, um, there are a few games on there that really interest me the most, and I'm pretty sure a couple of them you already know which ones I'm
I
talking
do.
about. Yep,
I do.
I've talked to them a lot. There's two in particular that I talk about a lot. Um, but before I go into them, I also would like to talk about the flaws that the platform can also have.
Okay.
Although Roblox is a very fun platform, and it is a very good experience for wanting to even build games if you wanted to. It I do have to say the platform itself is also very guilty of by the developers of the website, that they very guilty of making changes to their UI on their website.
And
That
what's the UI? I'm sorry. I just so
oh
everybody
so
knows.
you, oh so UI is like when you hear the word UI or HUD, that's like what you see on like on your screen. Like for example, the way your profile picture looks, or the home screen, or the logo, or what else? How the list of the games are displayed. So let's say, for example, they're displayed by rows. Well, let's just say that the UI changes and it goes to columns instead. Something like that, you know. So basically, changes to their UI, like stuff like that. If
So
you
do
know
you
what I
think
mean by
over
that.
time? I do. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So over time, do you think that the system will improve, or the whole overall game experience will improve, like the platform, say the graphics, the sound, all of that? Do you think it'll evolve, or do you think it's kind of static?
I think it's very static. I feel like there's a huge balance in between, actually. I feel like there's a lot of good changes they make, but there's also a lot of bad changes that, or I shouldn't say bad. That's a poor word. I should say very poor changes that kind
Okay.
of mix together like hot and cold into a thunderstorm, that kind of makes it just completely stagnant. That was a really bad comparison.
No,
But
no, it makes total sense. It makes total sense.
um but back to what I was saying, they
Yeah.
make changes that uh, nobody asks for, really. I heard that just recently I think they're deleting. They might have already done it by now, but they're deleting the UGC tab, and the tab on the community creations on the catalog. And what I mean by UGC stands for user generated content. So like if you
Yes.
wanted to make, so I think there's a separate program from that. That's not something like you'd have to sign up for that, unfortunately. But so user generated content is like, let's just say there's avatar items, and people want to make their own avatar items, I think it would be in Roblox Studio. I don't know where it would be, but and they wanted to upload it to the catalog. And that's still going to exist. They're not going to delete any of that. They're just they're getting rid of the separate tab for that. So unfortunately, when you go onto the catalog, you're no longer going to be able to filter UGC like tab. Like if you want to just exclusively see UGC, just user generated content, and not Roblox generated content, you can't do that anymore. And nobody understands why they would do that, because it seems like a very limiting update, and I don't know why they would do that. And there was also another change that they did that I guess was very minor, but it still kind of creeps me out to this day. They changed the way of the profile picture looks, like meaning like before. So it was like this happened in 2020. This happened December of 2020. I remember exactly when this happened. They changed the profile picture on that. They changed it so that it used to look like your face was, your avatar face was facing a little bit angled off towards the right, or your right. It would be a little angled off, and I think that was a great way to set that up. I thought that was perfect. That was great. But then I don't know why they did this, but they changed it, and even with the backlash, they did not revert it. They made it so that the profile picture just looks directly at you, like staring into your soul. And I don't
Okay.
know. It's yeah, I still don't like it, actually. I still don't like how they set up the profile picture. Um
So nobody
I know
knows
it's
why they
very,
changed it.
not really, no. They're very known for making changes that just nobody asks for, really, or nobody really wants, or even when people say, "Oh no, don't do this," they do it anyway,
They
and
still do it. Yeah.
they still do it, yeah. And there's another game that's very guilty of that, but that's just the Roblox exclusive. Um, so back to what I was saying. So two games in particular that I love. There's one that's very popular, one very very popular, and there's another one that's very underrated that really does not get the recognition it deserves. So the one that is very highly rated that I'm going to talk about is, they're both simulator games, but one of them is called Bee Swarm Simulator, and Bee Swarm Simulator is a game. It's a simulator game on that game where you basically, there's fields around the map, or when I say map, I mean world, and there's fields that you can collect pollen from, and with your dipper or whatever thing you have, and you can pick it up and put it into your pack, and then you go back to your hive. You claim your hive, of course, when you walk into the game, but when you walk back to your hive, uh, your bees or bee, you have to get an egg first, of course, but it's usually there. You know, the game usually gives you a tutorial, so um, your bee will, or bees will, you go back to the hive and they will convert it into honey, and honey can be used to buy stronger dippers, stronger packs, and packs meaning like capacity, like how much pollen can you hold in your pack, eggs for more bees, um let's see here, uh
Now, don't you have, there's certain enemies where where you have where you certain enemies where you need swarms of bees that are stronger to
yes.
defeat?
Yes. So there are a couple enemies that you don't unlock until a little bit later into the game, but um, basically enemies in the starter zone, which is the 0B zone, 0 to 5, and the starter zone. There's the dandelion field, the blue flower field, the mushroom field, and the sunflower field. And in the mushroom field and blue flower field, there's a ladybug, and there is two rhino beetles, and these both I think, have 10 health points. And with a basic bee, which is usually what bee you get from a basic egg when you buy it at the starter shop, um, will do one attack or do one damage every time it attacks. So usually it will attack every second, I would say. So every second it does one damage. But sometimes, so here's the thing, your bees will have certain stats, and these stats include uh, XP until you level up again, and when you level up your bee, certain stats can increase.
And those are experience points, right? The XP is experience points?
Kind of, but not towards the player, towards the bees.
Towards the bees.
So here's a major thing. There's a major reason why you should level up your bees. So leveling up your bees doesn't really do much to like its actual stats. What it actually does is make it easier to fight enemies, and it doesn't increase damage at all. What I mean is when you increase a level, it basically gets easier to attack it without missing. So what I mean by missing, so what happens if your bee's level, if a particular bee's level, let's say it's a frosty bee, that's a blue bee. I'll get into the colors a little bit later. Wants to attack a ladybug that you approached in the mushroom field. And let's say this ladybug, it's level 1, but let's say it's level 3. Your bee is level 1 or 2. So that doesn't, you can still fight it, but it's because its level doesn't sustain itself, doesn't compare to the ladybug's level, your bee has a chance of missing. And the higher, the lower your bee's level is, the lower the gap between your bee's level, or I mean, the higher the gap between your bee's level and the enemy's level, the more chance you have of missing. And when your bee misses an attack, it means it misses. It doesn't do any damage, and it has to do it again. So I'm pretty sure if it's one level below, I think it's a 50-50 that it's going to miss or it's going to hit. But when your bee gets to a level that's appropriate, that is the same level or above than the enemy you're fighting, it will always hit. You will never miss. So
can the bees get? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Can the bees get injured? No, it's because just so anybody who watches it, can the bees get injured? Can you lose bees? Can you have to?
No.
Rejuvenate them?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes and no. So here's the thing. Remember when I said bees have energy?
Yes.
So energy is basically, let's say a bee has 35 energy. A bee can perform any action, and when I mean any action, I mean attacking, collecting pollen, like digging into pollen in a field, or just any of that. Anything that involves your bee doing an action, it will remove 1 point on your energy bar. And when that energy reaches 0, your bee is going to stop attacking and stop whatever it's doing, and it's going to fly back to your hive, and it's going to sleep and it's going to be completely inactive for about 10 to 15 seconds, maybe. Okay. I would say about that. And the bee is that will not help you during this time. It will not help you when it's running back to your hive. And of course, when it's done sleeping, it's got to get back to you. So of course, in the starter zone, when you're right next to the hives, this doesn't affect you that much because you're right there. When you get later into the game, you're going to need a lot higher energy because you're going to get farther from your hive. And the farther you are from your hive, the longer it's going to take for your bee to get there, to sleep, and to get back to you. So this is kind of where its speed has a deal to play in. So leveling up can kind of slightly increase energy and slightly increase speed. And so speed basically is, how fast can it fly? And this applies to, whether it's flying to hive or attacking an enemy or whatever. Let's see here. It's not just the bees. There's also bear NPCs around the map, and NPCs, stands for non-player character.
Okay.
So bears they give you these quests, and let's just say, for example, the black bear who is in the starter zone gives you a quest, and he wants you to collect 500 pollen in the dandelion field, 500 in the sunflower field, and 500 in the blue flower field. When you do all of that, when you collect all the pollen, and of course when you get stronger, that number is going to increase more and more as you get better at the game. That number is not going to stay at 500. It's going to keep going. And it's different types of quests. So anyways, it's when you're done with that, you go back to the bear that assigned you that quest, and the bear is going to reward you with something, whether it be some honey, or let's say some items that can help with feeding your bees so that it can help them level up. Let's see here, something, or Yeah, it can give you items, and yeah, so, or even eggs sometimes. If you're lucky, sometimes they can even give you an egg
So
for
essentially, the
another
bees are
feature.
your friends, or the
Yes.
bears. The bears are your friends, and the bees are your
Yes.
friends. Yeah.
And the bees are your friends, but not like ladybugs, rhino beetles, or the spider when you get into the 5B zone, and especially not the stump snail. You know who that one is.
That's what I was going to ask you
Oh
about. Where
yeah,
does the
yep.
stump snail come in?
So the
That's what,
stump snail So the stump snail comes in when you have 10 bees and you unlock the 10B zone. So that's the starter zone, which is 0 bees, and then you get to 5 bees, and then you can enter the 5B zone, where you get access to the spider and the spider field, the strawberry field, and the bamboo field. And then there to your left is the 15B zone, but to your right is the 10B zone. And the 10B zone is basically leads up to the pineapple field and the stump field. The pineapple field, so of course when you get to higher, I forgot to mention this, as you get to higher zones, the amount
yeah.
of flowers in the field will also increase. So for example, the starter zone mostly has one flower per tile. Like there's a field, and then there's tiles, and these tiles have a picture of one flower mostly, and some of them have two, and maybe one or two have three. But anyways, as you get better, it's going to actually get to two flowers, and then when you get even higher, it's going to get even a three flowers. So which will of course award more pollen. So anyways, so the 10B zone. So the pineapple field is a little bit stronger. It has I would say two to three flowers in every tile. And in this field is guarded by a mantis and a rhino beetle, except it's a little bit higher level. And and then I'm gonna get into the stump field, which is guarded by the stump snail. And oh lord, the stump snail is do not even try to fight this thing when you have until you are like at least have, I would say, 40 to 45 bees. It is going to take you, if you try to fight this thing, it is going to take like days, maybe even weeks, if you don't have the patience.
But
So as you,
once you level, I'm sorry, once you level up though, and you have enough bees, and they're strong enough, and they're
yes,
fortified, then you
yes,
can eliminate them, not quickly, but
not quickly,
it
but
seems.
faster and faster. So basically, my first stump snail kill took me, oh god, weeks. I didn't do it all at once, not of course, but I mean, I did like little chunks. I was like, okay, I'm planning to do this amount of health. So the stump snail has 30 million health. Yikes.
Okay,
So
that's a lot.
30 million, that is a lot. However, unlike the other ones, which their HP doesn't save, the stump snail does. So the HP saves. So the stump snail, when the stump snail comes back, like if let's say you do uh 500 damage on the stump snail. So the stump snail now has 29,999,500 health left. And you leave the field. Well, when it comes back, it's still going to be that health. So you can keep going. So it's not like you have to do it all at once. You can keep coming back again and again until he's done. But it's going to take a long time before you get there. So here's the thing. The stump snail is the pretty much the only field that has pretty much all three flowers in every single tile. But here's the deal. You want to grind in this if you want to grind in the stump field, good luck, because your bees are not going to be able to help you collect any pollen because, well, they're busy fighting the stump snail. And when your bees are busy fighting the stump snail, you're responsible on your own with your own equipment to pick up the pollen, which is pretty much just the same as just going in another field, in a lower tier field, and having your bees participate. So it it's pretty much just as bad. So anyways, that goes into pretty much about the bees and the bears and their quests and everything. But I also want to get into about your equipment. So when you get enough honey and when you get enough items, you have the ability, when you get to higher tiers, there's certain pieces of equipment. There's the dipper, or the tool they call it, that's for picking up pollen.
Right.
There's the pack that you carry on your back. This is the capacity. Um, this of course can also be increased by amulets, which amulets I'll get into that a little bit later, but I'll explain that a little bit later. But um, And so basically, it's basically capacity, and better pack means more capacity. So anyways, and that's the tool in the pack, and then there's the boots. Then there's a mask, and and guards on your shoulders. I'm pretty sure, and I think that's it. I think I got it all. So all of these things I just described, all the things can interfere with basically capacity or damage or stuff like that. So as you get to more levels, or I shouldn't say more levels, that's for a different game I'll get into a little bit later, but as you get to higher tier areas that you unlock with more bees, if you can craft better items to replace from your previous ones.
Right.
So let's say you had a red backpack that you obtained in the 15B zone, and you want a porcelain backpack that is in the 25B zone. When you buy the porcelain backpack, it's going to be stronger than the red backpack, but you can only carry one backpack at a time. So it's going to replace the red backpack with the porcelain backpack. And the porcelain backpack, I'm pretty sure, requires 250 million honey, if I were to assume correctly. So, basically, that goes into equipment. And I also wanted to get into a particular bear, which is definitely going to help with stump snail and collecting pollen. And there's a certain bear, and he is located in the 15B zone, and this is the polar bear. And this polar bear has an infinite quest line, but this quest includes this quest rewards 5% energy all of your bees shared across all bees every time you do one of his quests. So polar bear, let's say, is going to assign you. We'll start out difficult quests, but because his quests don't evolve to be higher tier like the other bears do, especially brown bear, spirit bear, and black bear, because those quests get like harder and harder as you do them. So, polar bear, every time you do one of his quests, this is going to include defeating a certain type of enemy, and and when or collecting a certain amount of pollen in every field. And when you do that, you can go back to him, and when you're done with that, he awards you 5% energy, and you can talk to him again, and he'll give you another quest, and you just can keep going. So it's not like where it's not like where energy is stagnant. It will get better and better as you do more polar bears quests. And so yeah, it will be a lot easier. And trust me, you will need that for stump snail, because 10B zone is very far away from your hive. So when the bees need to sleep, they're not gonna help you for a good minute and a half because it's so far away. So
there is travel time. I mean, right? You're fighting the stump snail, or you're fighting different. But if you're in different areas, the bees have to go all the way back to the hive. They have to sleep.
Yes. So
and then they have to come back.
And their energy when they're done sleeping, their energy refills back. So, here's the thing. I also forgot to mention. So you might be thinking, well, can I attack these monsters myself? The answer to that is no. You cannot attack monsters yourself. Only your bees can. So here's the thing. You can die. You can die. But when you do, you'll respawn. You will respawn. So there's a penalty to this. If you, let's say you die, okay, let's say you go to the 15B zone, and the werewolf, which is in a cave, will come out, and his werewolf is level 7, I believe, and the stump snail is level 6, and the werewolf has 250 health, and your bees need to be level 7 in order to not miss, and same thing goes with stump snail for level 6. So let's say the werewolf, I guess, did too much damage on you, and you were killed. Okay. Well, all of your bees you died. You will respawn back at your hive, and your bees, all of them, all bees, no exceptions. Doesn't matter if it was photon bee who has infinite energy. Yes, there are a couple bees who have infinite energy, who will never have to sleep, but all the bees will have to fly all the way back to your hive, no matter how far away it was, and sleep. all of them, and you will lose all the pollen in your pack. So let's say there was like a lot of pollen in your pack. Let's say you had like a good like 2 million of pollen that could have been converted into honey, and you were killed. You lost all of that when you die. So you
Okay.
respawn back at your hive with no pollen in your pack, and your bees have to sleep, and you have to go back there. You have to get back to the 15 bee zone so you can try to defeat them again. You can, of course, when you get more bees, you can use cannons so you can get there faster, for you to get faster, not for the bees. So that's the death penalty, and you can't use this to your advantage either. Death does not replenish the bees' energy. So you would think like, well, what if the bees are all low on energy? What if I just die and so that they can replenish energy? It doesn't work like that. They have to reach 0 energy so that they can go back to the high. They have to run out of energy on their own. So when they go to sleep, that's the death. When you die and they go to sleep, that's the death penalty. That's not going to replenish their energy. Their energy is going to stay the same as it was before. So yeah.
So what's the ultimate goal of the game? You want to become more and more powerful and defeat bigger and bigger enemies.
So unlike the other game that I was going to talk about, Beast Swarm Simulator doesn't really have much of a storyline or lore behind it, really. Doesn't really have much of that. It's really, I mean, I guess you can kind of say there is, but there really isn't at the same time. Your really main goal is to get stronger and stronger as the game goes, whether it be your bees and you as well. So,
and you're ranked online, right, compared to other players of how strong you are.
I wouldn't say there's a leaderboard, but it's not based on how strong you are. It's how much you've basically done. So like there's an all-time leaderboard for most honey collected of all time. So that is heavily reliant on how strong you are. So I know there's a very popular Beast Swarm Simulator gamer, and he goes by the name of elol, E_ and LOL. So E_LOL, or elol, like people like to call him, is considered the worldwide best Beast Swarm Simulator game to this date. He has collected, I haven't checked. Last time I checked, he had, oh god, I feel like back during last Beesmas, he was, that's the Christmas event, by the way.
Beesmas.
Beesmas is what they call
Beesmas
it.
is the Christmas
Yeah,
event.
it's the Christmas event, and God, he had quadrillions of honey.
Really?
I'm
So
pretty
he
sure.
spends a lot of time on the game
Spends a lot of time,
and has bragging rights about who he's the top dog in the world.
He doesn't brag. He has a really good reputation.
Oh, good.
He actually does post YouTube videos of I shouldn't say guiding, but like how he does it. I'm pretty sure he has showed his hive once, so he shows his hive so people can see, and like, oh, so this is a hive I would want to use because this is the hive of the best player in the game. So I would also like to mention there are certain colors. There's 3 colors there's 3 main colors of the game. So it's when you think of all the fields, all of them have a certain color. So there's red flowers, there's blue flowers, and there's white flowers. And I would also like to say that same thing goes for bees. There's red bees, there's blue bees, and there's colorless bees, but colorless usually refers to white. So of course you would be thinking correctly. Red bees collect more red pollen and usually like fields that are red. Blue bees like blue fields, and like they like fields that are blue. And colorless bees like white fields. They collect more white pollen than red and blue. So I would also like to say, this is a huge tip I need to give. Stay a mixed hive when you are in the game, until you get something called the Supreme Star Amulet, which is much later into the game. But a mixed hive is basically, a mixed hive. You get basically you want to get a mix of colors of all the bees until
And
you get Supreme.
in the mix of colors, there's an advantage, obviously, to having a different number of bees and a great number of bees that can defeat other or specific enemies.
Say that again.
So you want a mixed hive of bees, so to speak, right? You
Yes.
want to have different ones because it's going to give you more equipment or more ability to defeat specific enemies.
That's a good way to put it, actually. I think that's also not there's also another main reason is many of the bears around the map are going to give you quests that assign you a specific color of pollen, and if you decide to go a certain color of pollen without getting Supreme Star Amulet, it's part of my French, but it's going to be hell to do so. It's gonna be really, think of it like, let's say you decided to go a red hive, and a red hive is very good for attacking as well. Blue is very good for honey making, and white I'm pretty sure is, I'm not sure actually. I think that has a lot to do with goo, but I'll get into that later. So red and blue. So let's say you have a red hive. You decided to go red and you don't have Supreme Star Amulet. You weren't given the passive ability, and you decided to go red because you just want to collect more red pollen. Well, let's say you go to brown bear, and brown bear wants you to get 3 million pollen from the blue flower field.
Okay.
Yikes. That is going to take a very long time. Whereas if he just said 3 million from the mushroom field, wouldn't take you much very long, because you have a red hive. So you want to mix so that there's not too much of advantage on one color. You want to mix. So anyways, I also want to say, your hive starts out with a capacity automatically of 25 bees. So you can get up to 25 bees at the max for now.
Okay.
And once you get access to 25 bees, you get access to the mountaintop zone, or the 25 bee zone, and you can buy with honey more hive slots. However, this applies, the honey buying stuff, that this applies. If you want to buy more eggs or buy another hive slot, the more you do it, that number of honey, that cost is going to exponentially go up. The cost will increase every time you buy it. So the first hive slot, I'm pretty sure needs 3 million honey. Well, let's say you buy it. Well, now the next one needs 7 million. And then it's going to go up and up and up and up and up. Yep. And it's going to keep going up until you hit 50, and 50 is the max you can get. 50 bee slots is the max you can get. And I'm pretty sure 50 needs I think 2.1 trillion honey.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets
so that
it
takes
gets
a
bad.
long time. Takes a long
takes
time.
a very long time. Very grindy game.
When you say a grindy game, so everybody understands, a grindy game is one that you have to spend a lot of time in repetitive tasks to build up strength over time, or build up certain attributes.
Yes. And that same thing goes for another game that I was going to mention. So I think I gave a pretty good description of Bee Storm Simulator. I mean, don't you think?
Absolutely.
I think that was pretty good.
I think it was fantastic.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the game was developed by users like you, or the company itself? It was developed by users.
It was developed by users.
Okay.
So
Or yes.
Yes. So it was developed by a user by the name of Own It. That's his username. ONETT. That was the developer of Beast From Simulator, and just like everyone else, he is a user who also can play other games or build your own if you have the experience to do so, which of course he does, because I'm not sure if he has a team of developers. I heard he might be a solo, so that's a huge game to build, that
Pretty
takes
impressive
a long time. Yeah, it is very impressive. He might, though, I don't know. I heard he might be a solo dev, but I don't know. But anyways, so another game I'd like to talk about. Beast Storm Simulator is a very popular game, and still is to this day. There's no less than 10,000 people playing it at to this time as we're talking right now. So another game I was going to talk about, another simulator game.
Before we move forward to that, so with somebody who develops games, and I know that's something that you're interested in pursuing, is that before we move into the other game, So it's interested. You're interested in pursuing game design itself, right? And you have to learn a
Yes,
specific language you mentioned yesterday.
Lua.
Lua, and
Lua is the programming language.
that's the Roblox programming
Yes,
language.
that is the
So
scripting language
the
that the
scripting
Roblox uses.
language.
Or
So
programming.
is
No,
there a
programming is fine.
programming, or is there a training manual, or is it just trial by error? Or is there a way? Are there videos on YouTube? Are there ways that you can learn Lua in a relatively short period of time, or is it an exhausting process?
All of the above.
Okay. All
All
right.
of it. So everything you just said, all of the above applies. So it actually depends on how much time you put in to learning the language. So I've heard from people, they've said that they learned the whole Roblox language in, I'd say, a month. And that's most likely because they've put in a pretty decent amount of time and a decent amount of studying um, within that. And there's also people who have told me it took them years because they spread it out a little bit more,
Sure.
me included, because I like to spread it out. Like let's say, I want to do some program learning. I would do videos on YouTube, and Roblox, I'm pretty sure, also does have a guide on theirs as well. I think there's a lot of lessons on them as well. But there's videos on YouTube. There's plenty of that. And of course, if I'm think I'm good to take a break, and we need that, because we can't. I'm not the person to really just do a thing all at once. I need to spread things out. Um, if I wanted to stop for now and go play some games on there, then I would. And if I want to go back, I can go back. But so yeah, it really depends on how much time you really put in, how much time you dedicate into learning the language, really. Um,
And then once you learn the language, is it picture related, or is it script, like writing on a screen, and you write out
yes,
the code or something like that, and then it
yes.
translates into gameplay?
I think I would, yeah, yes, I think that's a good way of putting it, actually. So I mean, unfortunately, I'm not that experienced with Roblox Studio, but I'm pretty sure what you just said is correct. Because when you apply a script, and like, there's a couple things that I've picked up, like referencing something. Like, I know that I won't go into depth on it, but I know, but anyways,
No,
uh
you can go into as
yeah,
much
so
depth as you want. Yep.
so I know that there's a first thing called referencing, and basically you're telling the game, from there's a properties list. Okay, and this lists you, there's your workspace, there's a toolbox, there's free models that Roblox already has done for you. There's even scripts on there that they've already done for you, um, or I should say plugins. That's what they call them, plugins.
Plugins.
um, there's your workspace. The workspace is everything you have in your game. This includes parts, like pieces of, let's say, pieces of a house. You have pieces of that, or you can group it. You can make it one instance or one thing. Um, and your workspace just basically has everything that is in your game. Everything. This includes scripts. This includes all the services and everything. And your properties, when you click on a part or anything, your properties are like basically what applies to it. So let's say the transparency, this determines how invisible it is or how transparent it is. Or what is another one? It's color. It's basically stuff like that. And you when you want to reference that, or let's just or anchored is another one. And anchored basically means does it apply to gravity. If it's not anchored, if that means gravity is going to apply to it. So let's say you have a floating part, okay,
Yes.
and you didn't check mark the anchored box. Or what you can do is, if you didn't go to the script for that, let's say you wanted to reference that part. So you'd start
Right.
on the script, you would say game, because that's what it is. You want to reference the game dot workspace dot part something, whatever you want to call your part. You can call it whatever you want. Let's call it piece or something like that, or part, whatever. Dot part dot anchored equals true, or anchored equals false. So if you put true, then it's going to mean it's anchored, and gravity will not apply to it. And if it is not, and if it is not anchored, or if it means dot anchored equals false, then gravity will apply to it. And when you start the game, and when you test the game, that part is going to fall to the ground. Where if you had it anchored, so there's a part right here, and you check the anchored box. You play the game, it's gonna stay there. It won't fall. You don't have it checked. You test the game, it falls.
And it will fall.
It will fall. So,
please, yeah, go
no,
ahead.
it's okay. No, it's okay. I'm pretty much done with that anyway. What were you saying?
So another question is, say for instance, based on your knowledge or your, I mean, I know your growing knowledge of Lua, the language. How long would it take, say for instance, or do you know, or if are there forums, or there YouTube videos? How long would it take to build a game such as Bee Swarm Simulator? How long would it take to test it and release it and publish it?
Oh God, that like I said, that also depends on how much time you dedicate. But I mean, considering if you're a solo dev, that's gonna take like probably years. That's gonna take a very long time. That is going to take, especially if you're solo, that is going to take a very long time. Same thing for the other game I was talking about. But I'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I just wanted to set that one up. I wanted to set up the whole world and Roblox and what it is and how it works. And like you said, the Lua, the language, and Bee Swarm Simulator is an example of a game, and you know what the goals of the game are, and how you would play it. And obviously it's very complex to come up with stump snails and bears that help you, and different colored bees. I mean, this person didn't take this from any lore or mythology. He thought of this, or she thought of this, all on their own. They kind of just made it up from their imagination,
from scratch. Yeah,
pretty amazing.
That's how it initially starts. Is it's a certain concept, and it basically slowly grows into a game like that to this day is still very popular on that website. That simulator is considered, I would say most widely agreed as probably one of, if not the best simulator considered on Roblox. But I think there's another one that is very underrated. But I'll get into that.
I know you want to talk about that one. I know that. But again, before I don't mean to hold you back. I just want to set it up. So say for instance, there are, and I know that the next game we're going to talk about is there are updates. So you mentioned before that on Bee Swarm Simulator, there hasn't been updates to the game or additions to the game for some time.
Oh yes. But understandably why? Because if he's a solo dev, it's going to take a very long time to make amends to the game. So here's the thing. Yes, Bee Swarm Simulator, although is very big game, does not get very many updates. The only updates it really does get are Beastmas with Christmas update.
Oh, the Christmas event.
How it's been for the past couple years, I would say, is it's basically he updates the game, and he has Beastmas, and there's Beastmas quests all over. And then Beastmas ends in March or April, and basically for the whole time we're basically just waiting for Beastmas again for another 9 months. There's rarely any update in between. There you can see on the page when it was last updated. But that's usually on any game. That's usually maybe a text change or something, like a really small change or something like that, and nothing like very big. But I'm talking big updates. I'm usually talking like noticeably different things in their game when they update, and that is very rare in Bee Swarm Simulator, and that is really Beastmas. That is that's pretty much one of the only things that has been going on past couple of years in terms of update.
All right, so I know the next game has extensive updates over time.
Oh yes, every
that's
2 weeks,
why
every
I wanted to
every
set
two
that up.
Fridays. Oh yeah. So all right. So game 2. I love this game. Probably one of, if probably as much or even if not even better than Bee Swarm Simulator. This is another simulator game called Ghost Simulator, and unlike it's just like it's a simulator just like Bee Swarm Simulator, except it's a different concept. So instead of collecting pollen or honey, it's completely set that aside. Different concept. Instead, you are now vacuuming ghosts,
Vacuum
and
go.
that is the main goal. That is the main goal. It no longer has anything to do with bees well, actually, it sort of does, but not in the same way. It's not like that. So your main goal of the game, basically the whole concept of that game is vacuum ghosts, and that's pretty much what it is. However, that's not the main. Although I love that concept, there's another concept, and exactly what I'm talking about. I'm very excited to get into it. The main concept in that game that I am very excited to talk about is the antenna level system. And the antenna level system gives you access to different areas. So, or different biomes. They like to call them biomes. Biomes. So so when you start in the game, you start off the game with a level 1 antenna, and you spawn at the lab, or the forest's lab, in the main hub, which is world number 1. And the forest is level 1 antenna. So when you load in, there's ghosts scattered around. Usually they come in packs of 3 or 2 if you're in Ghost World, but that's a later world. That's another world. They come in packs of 3. There's every biome has one common ghost and one special ghost. The specials are rare, and the commons are, common. You see them. So when you vacuum, let's say you vacuum up, you start with a starter vacuum, you start with a starter pack. You walk up to the fairy ghost, which is in the forest, and she has 10 um, ectoplasm, which is their health basically,
Yeah.
and she has 10 of that. And the owl, she's the common ghost, and the owl is the special ghost. That's the special one. The owl has 15 ectoplasm. So it's a little bit higher than the common one, of course. So um, when you start vacuuming, keep in mind you don't hold the button. You can just click on the ghost. If you just don't move out of range, because there's a certain range, and if you move out of range, then it's going to stop vacuuming. So when you start vacuuming, the number on the health that you see is going to decrease, and when it hits 0, it she will be they will be vacuumed, and their basically their health will fill into your pack. And I'm pretty sure it's 50 ectoplasm that you can carry. That's your first pack. That's the starter pack. When you reach that threshold, your pack will be full and you can no longer vacuum. You must go back to the lab and sell what you have in your pack. And when you sell what you have in your pack, you get this currency called ecto tokens. And ecto tokens for World 1, this is World 1's currency. This is not going to apply later. Gets you can buy you packs or vacuums. You can decide in the main hub only. And when you grab a higher pack or a higher vacuum, it's going to be stronger. So what I mean by that is when you grab the next pack with 50, because that's what you had, or if you want to buy the vacuum. If you would decide to buy the vacuum, well, that vacuum is going to be faster. So that number is going to decrease faster than what it was before. Or if you decide to get the pack, you have more capacity into your pack, so you don't have to go back to the lab. You don't have to go back over and over
And sell the
repetitive
ghosts for the
and sell for the tokens. So
so the people you're selling the ghost to, what's their interest in the ghost? Does it illustrate it in the
there's
game?
there's no illustration of that. There's just a sell option, and it's at the lab. There's a sell option. There's a machine, you sell it, and then there's a shop that you can go to buy better packs or vacuums.
So I
So
assume that it's a lab, so they're probably scientists that want to study the ghosts.
Not
Maybe.
not really. There's no one there. There's no one there. It's
Okay.
just you just sell it and you just get the tokens in return. That's it. There's nobody there. There are just like Beast Farm Simulator, there are NPCs. There are quests just exactly like Beast Farm Simulator. There are quests as well, and some of these quests at the end of their quest line, and well, let's say you go to go to quest, they assign you vacuum this type of ghosts in this biome, vacuum this type of ghost in this biome. Um, and when you do that, or find this in this biome, and when you're done with all the tasks, you go back to them, and they reward you with another currency, usually another currency called gems or antenna parts, or whatever, something like that. It's very diverse reward system. They don't sell you tokens. The tokens you're responsible on your own. The world's currency, that's you're responsible for that. They don't reward you that like they do in Beast Farm Simulator. So, but gems, however, is a different story. So gems is another currency in the game. These you're gonna see these under the world's currency. So for main hub, that's ecto tokens, and the gem currency has nothing to do with buying packs, but has something to do with buying pets. So just like Beast Storm Simulator had bees, you have in Ghost Simulator, it's pets. So when you go to, there's pet crates, and the world and the main hub, there's three. There's the first three. Of course, when you get to more worlds, there's going to be higher tiers, which means better pets. But when you go to the main hub, there's going to be pet crate 1, 2, and 3, and of course, the higher tier the crate, the more expensive it is. So it's dependent on gems, not tokens. Gems. So I'm pretty sure. So let's say you have 4,500 gems, and the first pet crate, I'm pretty sure, needs, I don't know how much. It just I'm gonna just take a guess. It's 250 gems. Okay. And pet crate 2 is 850, and pet crate 3 is 4,500. Well, you have a choice of getting the pet crate 3, which is 4,500, but you won't be able to get the other two crates either. So you can carry a max up to 3 pets, and with a game pass you can get to 5. And then there's a quest line in World 2 where you can get another pet slot, but she's really long, and I wouldn't recommend doing her if you're trying to speed run rebirths. But that's for much later in the game. That's way later, way later. So I'm gonna stick to World 1. So main hub, which is World 1, gems will buy you pets, and these pets will actually help boost your vacuum speed and your your currency exchange rate. So whether that's ecto tokens or whatever currency you have later in another world. So that determines. So let's say it's a cat pet or whatever. I'm just taking a guess. She has 1.18 vacuum speed. Well, with her equipped, you have 1.18 times vacuum speed. And
Okay.
so that's like a mini booster. And she has, let's say, 1.1 token exchange rate. Well, that's a booster right there. So, and of course these can stack with your other equipped pets. So, and trust me, when you get later into the game, you are definitely going to need the pets, because you can't just rely on the vacuums you get, because the vacuums, it's basically your pets are mainly carrying you when you get later into the game. And trust me, you're going to need them. So back to the antenna system, which is what I love about the game the most. Although I love the concept, although I love the concept of vacuuming ghosts, the antenna system is flat out my favorite system in the game, probably in any simulator of all time. So the antenna system. Okay, here's the thing. So you start off with level 1 antenna. Okay, and this is access to the forest. You're gonna notice there are different areas that you can see, and you can go in them if you wanted to. However, if you enter a biome, and certain biomes requires higher level antennas. You start with level 1, then you go to 2 when you have enough items. Actually, before I get into that, I want to mention how you upgrade your antenna. So I forgot to mention this. When you vacuum a ghost, it will drop an item. It will drop an item. This can be gems, antenna parts, or later for a later world, and the biome's part or the biome's particular item, or in extremely rare cases, absolutely nothing. So when you vacuum a ghost, you have to manually pick it up unless you do a quest, which is later and a little bit later in main hub, in Wild West, which is level 5, but that's a little bit later. So when you get, you're going to see in your inventory, you can see your inventory in your HUD and your UI. You know that you see your
Right.
orders and everything, your outlines. You click on your inventory and you're going to see your antenna level on the character tab, and it's going to tell you what level you are. I don't need to do that. I can just see what level is because I have all the designs memorized. But because when you upgrade your antenna, the design is a little bit different than the previous. It's a little bit better than the previous, actually. So um, when a ghost drops antenna parts or the bomb's particular item, you need those for upgrading antenna. So you're in the forest, and level 2 antenna requires 3 acorns and 3 antenna parts. Well, when you vacuum a ghost, let's say it gives you 2 antenna parts. Okay, well, you just keep vacuuming more and more until you reach that threshold for both of the criteria. And when you meet both of the criteria, you may upgrade your antenna to access another biome, which is called Block City, which requires level 2 antenna. And the ghosts in that biome are actually a little bit stronger than the ones in the forest. So you remember how I mentioned the fairies and the owls are 10 health and 15 health. Well, now in Block City, it is now the businessman ghosts and the street cat ghosts. And the businessman is the common and the street cat is the special. The businessman now requires, and no, I'm sorry, now has 20 health instead of 10. And the special, which was the owl was 15, the street cat has 30. So that's double than what it was in Forest, but it's not usually always like that. It does not like double or anything like that. It's just for that. It's coincidence. But either way, this is double the health of the forest biome. So you're gonna need stronger vacuums and packs to help you get them faster. So you get access to that. So now let me get into the probably one of my favorite aspects of the game. Like I want to say, many simulators, when they have a different area or a different biome or zone that they want to call it, it's just covered by a wall. You can't pass this and until you meet this criteria. Well, Ghost Simulator is a little bit different. If you pass a biome's border and your antenna, let's say you go to a Block City, which needs level 2 antenna, and you have level 1, you will suffer the following effects when you enter a biome that is too high tier of your level, that your antenna is not sufficient to sustain for. And when your antenna is too weak, so you enter Block City with level 1, you will suffer the following effects. The screen will be, the area on your screen specifically, not on others, playing with other people, but focus on you. You will suffer the in what I call the insufficient antenna effect, which is it will become dark and you will have very limited vision. It will become very dark. It will be very hard to see. You're going to see a snowstorm passing by your screen, and basically telling you, and it's also going to give you a notification at the bottom of your screen, telling you what level that this needs. And of course, this what this is going to say. This
Yes,
biome
I
requires
do.
this biome requires a level 2 antenna, and it tells you this at the bottom. It gives you that notification. I would also like to mention that your character, your player, your character, your avatar,
Mhm.
will make an animation of them covering their face, and this is supposed to signify that they're scared. They cannot do anything in this biome because their antenna level is too weak to access anything in this zone. So your character is going to cover their face like this, and because of this, this also signifies you will not be able to pull out your vacuum. You will be unable to equip your vacuum. You will not be able to pull it out. Um, um, the ghosts in the zone. This is not part of the insufficient antenna effect, but this is also an extra security they do. The ghosts that you see will also be very faded. In zones that you see that are too high of your level, they will be faded so that you can't vacuum them from a distance, or like let's say you have the photon blaster, which is much later in the game, so that you cannot do anything until you meet that level. They're going to be much faded. They're going to be very transparent, and they will not be able to be vacuumed, even if you were not under this insufficient antenna effect. So the only thing um, that will not trigger the insufficient antenna effect in a biome that is too high is if a boss appears in that zone. And a boss, not a mini boss. A mini boss is a little bit different, but a boss only appears in main hub specifically because mini bosses in later worlds, they want you to be responsible for your own level. Bosses in the main hub will temporarily for any low antenna level, temporarily unlock it so that they can pull their vacuum out and help with the boss. When the boss is defeated, anybody who is participating automatically gets their pack filled, automatically that they can sell back, and the place will wait about, I would say, 4 to 5 seconds before it will shut down again for anybody who is too low level, and they will suffer the effect again. Because the boss is defeated, there's no other reason to be there. Your business is done there until you reach this level. So so like I said, the insufficient antenna effect is when you enter the biome, you enter Wild West with level 3, and Wild West needs level 5. You will suffer. So it will become dark. There will be a snowstorm. You will not be able to pull your vacuum out. Your player will cover their face. And you will basically, it's basically saying you will not be able to do anything here. You need to go back to where you belong, which is whatever biomes you have unlocked. So if you have 3, you have access to Forest, Block City, and Junkyard, and that's where you should be, not in the Wild West, because your antenna level is not sufficient enough to sustain for that biome.
Wonderful. So that being said, with further updates, they add other biomes, right?
Sometimes it's more
or
NPC.
they add, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
Or NPCs, like the more quest line.
Non-player characters.
Yes.
And they add, but the most of the updates has to have to do with antennas.
No.
Right. No.
That
Okay.
Just this recent update had to do with antennas. So when the game was first released, there were only 10 antenna levels, and you may think, because main hub many people when they join the game, they think that only goes to 10 levels because it's one world. They think it just stops at 10 and that's it. You would be very, very wrong. It keeps going, actually. When you access Wild West, there is another mini portal zone that you can enter, and if you cross that threshold into there, it is going to say another number, and there's a portal, and you can't teleport anywhere unless you meet the level that it needs. And which when you cross this in Wild West, you're a player and you're like, oh, what does this need? You cross that, you're actually going to see that the biome requires a level 11 antenna, so it keeps going. So then I initially thought, oh, so it stops at 11. Nope, you would be very wrong there too. It keeps going. You get to level 10, so which access to world 2, which is Ghost World. That's the second world. Different currency, and it's all level 10. So level 11 is the gap between level 10 and 11 is very determinable by how much you want to do in Ghost World before you decide to do what's required. So Ghost World can be very overwhelming for any player who first enters in there, because there's a humongous amount of quest lines in there. And the level 11 has nothing to do with a biome, with a volcano, which is level 10. Has nothing to do with getting a biome's particular item. It actually wants you to get a particular item from a specific quest line in Ghost World. So the gap between 10 and 11 can probably be the biggest in the game, if you want to say, depending on how much you want to do in Ghost World, because Ghost World is its own world. It's all level 10, and although worlds cannot be accessed, like you can't even get to them, they're in different servers in Roblox. I shouldn't say Yeah, they're in a different server, different world, different. When I mean by server, I mean like oh, there's a list of players that are here, and if it's in another server, you can't chat with them. It's like, it's a completely different place for now. So in another world, they're all different servers. So you normally can't access any other world unless you meet that level. But here's the thing: uh, even if you somehow did, get into another world, and there used to be a way to do this, even if you somehow did, there is still insufficient antenna effect put in place. And I was very impressed when I saw this, because I saw they still put in extra security to make sure that no one was going to skip any part of the story, which this game actually does has a story in it.
It has a
And
narrative. It has a story. Okay.
it does has way more of a simulator than way more than of a story than Beastorm does. But like I said, Ghost World still has an insufficient antenna effect put in place in case anybody somehow got in when they weren't supposed to. It's still in there. So even if you somehow got in Ghost World, you will still suffer the same effects I listed before, which is covering face, it gets dark, everything, different music, the music changes as well. It also gets more intense. You've heard that music before. It gets from happy and then it gets really,
Oh
really
yeah, gets
sinister.
frantic.
Yes. Yes. Um, so let's say someone got in Ghost World, they weren't supposed to, they'd say they're level 5. Well, they're still going to suffer the effects of insufficient antenna effect, because although they may have glitched in there, it doesn't matter. They still cannot do anything in there, because the game recognizes that they still encrypted that area with level 10, even if you somehow got in, where normally because they put in a wall, they wouldn't even need to, because, well, players aren't even supposed to be there anyway. So, but no, you would think that, but then you'd actually do it, and it's, oh no, they actually still have it in there, so you can't skip anything. There's no skipping at all. So that's world. So anyway, so Ghost World is level 10 specifically. There's no antenna level grinding in Ghost World. It is its own world. It is all level 10, and that's basically your main goal in Ghost World, is you want to get to level 11. And level 11 gives you access to World 3, which is the back door. And the back door is level 11. And same thing applies. Just like Ghost World. Even if you got in there, it still doesn't matter. You still suffer the effects, so there's no skipping. Anyways, remember the Wild West portal I was talking about? That
Of
needs
course,
level.
yeah.
You cross that threshold. Says this biome requires a level 11 antenna. That's where that leads. So, you get access to backdoor, and the antenna levels keep going. It actually will keep going. You have to do the same thing again, like you did in Main Hub. You have to do it again, except new biomes, and new antennas. So now you get. So it was 1 through 10 in Main Hub. It was 1 through 10 in the Main Hub, and then Ghost World is all level 10. It's all its own thing, and then backdoor you have to do what you just did again. So now it's 11 through 20. So, and they're actually working on a new world right now. It's in the works, and they've already did Route 1. They've already did some of them in there with just this recent update. New world, World 6, the Remnant Zone. Remnant Zone. This requires 1 rebirth. So this means you have to do the whole game. You have to rebirth, and you have to get back again to level 20. I'm pretty sure you also have to do a certain person quest lines as well. Associate Riley is her name. And I think she is located in the Ghost World, and she will not be. She cannot. Yeah. So I also forgot to mention any NPC in a high tier biome, meaning any biome that will trigger insufficient antenna effect, will be locked. So some NPCs give like abilities such as a hoverboard, which gives you faster speed. You can traverse the map easier. Obtained by Adam in Block City, which needs level 2. So if you, let's say Adam is in Block City, which needs level 2, you can't even talk to NPCs in high tier biomes, in too high tier of biomes. You can't even talk to them. They won't even let you, even if you're in their zone where you want to talk to them, you can't. You have to get the level that the biome needs in order to access any NPC that is in there. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Remnant Zone, I'm pretty sure is working on to antenna level 30. So
Yeah.
for 2 years, for about 2 years now, the max level was 20. However, a month and a half ago they added Remnant Zone, but it was just Enchanted Jungle. That was the only biome in there. And it needed level 20 and it needed 1 rebirth. And like I said, I'm pretty sure, I would imagine it would also have an insufficient antenna effect put in there, put in place in case anyone wanted to sneak in there if they wanted to. So you could access level 21, but the biome for 21 didn't exist yet. So there was really no achievement for getting level 21 other than just getting it, really. However, just 2 weeks ago, they added the biome for 21, 22's antenna and biome, and 23's antenna and biome, and the antenna level for 24, but not the biome for it. So it is in the works, right? I'm pretty sure they're working on the next 2 routes in Remnant Zone right now. And hopefully they update it in the next 2 weeks. So 2 Fridays from now, hopefully.
2 Fridays from now.
Should be the next update. So that's what they're working on for Remnant Zone. It looks like they're going to go to level 30. And they can, I would imagine they'd probably stop there. If they wanted to keep going with antenna levels, they could, but 30 is a very good place to stop at. That's a lot actually. So yeah. So yeah, I'd say it's a very long game. There's 6 worlds. One of them is very small though. One of them is very, very small. Nothing really to it actually. I would say the biggest worlds right now is definitely the first 3, which is Main Hub, Ghost World, Backdoor. Those are the 3 biggest worlds in the game. And World 5, the Void, is pretty short as well. It's not extremely short, but it's longer than Block Split HQ, which was World 4, which is a very small one. It's just like basically it's considered a mini world actually. It's actually considered by many to not even be its own world. Even though it's a different server, it's still not considered to be a world. It's considered a mini world because it's just a very small area. It's just the final boss arena. So that's really it. So yes, when you get a main hub, you start at level 1 and you work your way up. And I would say when I first played the game, I would say it took me, oh god, weeks to complete the game, really. And that was before World 5. Yeah.
And now they've added new biomes.
Yes.
They've added new.
So there's even more
antenna levels, and there's more to come. So the question is, we were talking last night, if we were to predict what the next antenna color would be, the level 25.
Yes. Yeah. So I would like to mention that I can also share my screen actually to show what the antenna levels look like. Or actually, no, I'll keep it a secret because spoilers. Let's keep it that way. So
if anybody wants to play the game, you don't want
if anyone
to
wants to play the game, wouldn't want to ruin it. So so I was predicting that the next color could be, so when you have your antenna, I think this is okay to say, it starts out red, and then it changes color once you get to new routes in each world. It changes color, and it also changes in design as well. And and I'm going to, I was saying I'm predicting that 25 is, or not 25, because 25 I'm pretty sure is going to be the same color as 24 along with 26, but I think 27 might be, orange, maybe. I don't know, just the color of the bulbs and the color of the glows in it. But you'll see what I mean if you play the game yourself. Every time you upgrade your antenna, it actually looks more detailed than the previous one. So
where they become more elaborate. So how about what is your prediction for the next, what the biome or world, what is your prediction on what they're going to name it? Just to throw it out there, just to maybe.
Well,
figure it out
Well,
if based on the patterns of how things have gone?
They've been very unpredictable with the biome names. Actually, they've been extremely unpredictable. Actually, I mean, I think Main Hub, and I think Main Hub's biome name started out very basic. Like you would think of a biome, and it would actually be like a real biome, actually. But then it gets more detailed than Backdoor, and it's even more detailed than Remnant Zone. It's like this, it's like a very weird name that they give it. So it just it's I mean, if we were talking main hub, that would have been very easy to predict another biome, but we just don't know with Remnant Zone really, because it's just they're getting really detailed and they're getting really unpredictable with their naming. So I mean, I'm thinking maybe like an abandoned restaurant. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating really. I don't know. I mean, I don't, or an abandoned house. I mean, I don't know what they do. I don't know what they would do actually, because it's, when you think about it, it's very, the topic is very vast. Like if you think about like a place, there's a lot to think about. Like there's a lot of ideas that could be said. So, to think of just 5 that they would do, it's going to be very difficult to predict, because there's so many there's so many places that you can think of. So it's like, or like when you think of like a volcano or a desert, or or a house or a forest or whatever, like it's just there's so many or a school or whatever, or just when you think about that topic, it's like it's so um it's just, they're very unpredictable with what they're going to do next actually. So yeah.
My prediction is the turquoise desert.
Yep. I
That's
know
my
that was a
prediction.
very, that actually does sound like a biome they would do. um um and I like that prediction. I mean, that sounds like that's basically what Remnant Zone would sound like. I mean, with a name, like a name of a biome, that's kind of, with that name, that's kind of how their biomes sound. I'm not going to say their biome names because that's much later in the game and I don't want to spoil anything, but you'll see what I mean. Like it's weird. Their names are very weird in that world, much weirder and much uh more creative than Main Hub and even Backdoor.
Interesting. So I'm going to take a quick break. Hold on one
Mhm.
second. Take a quick break. We'll pause for a moment. I will be right back,
Okay.
and we'll go from there. Okay.
All right.
Be right back.
Apartment main door has opened.
Back at it. And I can always edit this part out if we want to when we do the final cut of the video. And
I
if
was
not,
muted.
okay, no big deal.
I was
So
muted.
I don't think I was, so no big deal. So anyway,
I heard the
back
apartment main
to it.
door is opened. Yeah. I
So
heard the apartment alarm.
you heard the apartment
Yeah, I
alarm,
heard the
yeah.
alarm. The alarm. It said apartment main door has opened.
So next, we're
Mhm.
back to it.
Mhm.
Next would be anything more about the game, anything about Roblox, anything about Bee Swarm Simulator or Ghost Simulator that you wanted to add that maybe you didn't think of, or anything that you wanted to elaborate on further or cover.
Yes. So I wanted to say, remember how Main Hub, I used to mention it was vacuuming and selling, and you get more packs and vacuums. Well, Backdoor, I wanted to I'm not going to say what it is, but Backdoor uses a slightly different mechanism than the other worlds do. Backdoor, so basically, antenna levels 11 through 20, their biomes use a little bit of a different mechanism in Backdoor. It's not entirely the same as selling, and it's not really so much as vacuuming anymore, and it's not really so much as packs. But you'll see, if you play the game, you'll see for yourself if you grind enough. You're going to see that World 3 is a little bit different than the other ones. I would also like to mention that World 6 is not, and anything beyond level 20, so levels 21 through 24, is not accessible without at least one rebirth. And what I mean by rebirth is you have to go through all 5 worlds once. And what I mean by rebirth is you have to you reset your progress with the exchange of a perk that you decide that will help you throughout the game, a permanent perk that you can choose by, I think, almost around 10 or 11 options that you're given that you can do for your next gameplay. So when you rebirth, your antenna, everything resets. Almost everything. Your antenna level is all reset. Your packs, your vacuums, almost everything. Even a lot of NPC quest lines will also reset upon a rebirth. So yeah. There's some NPCs that don't reset upon a rebirth. There's some of them that don't, but a good majority of them will reset. And you have to do them all over again. However, when you rebirth, you access something called the second arc storyline, and the second arc storylines allows you to see more NPCs, another portal located in Backdoor, which is to Remnant Zone, World 6. And because of this, this is why I mentioned that antenna levels 21 through 24 are not accessible without at least one rebirth, because it's not, you can't access World 6 without a rebirth. So basically, you have to do the whole game, and you have to do it all over again. You have to do the game twice to get back.
Okay.
Almost twice. I would say you have to do it once, because remember, when you get to level 20, it doesn't stop there. You have to do a whole quest. You have to do a little bit more to get to rebirth, and then do it all over again. Then you have to get back to level 20, and it's just because you get to World 5, you would imagine, like, wait, how do I get to World 6 without rebirthing? And I'm like, you can't. You have to rebirth. You don't have a choice. You have to do the game all over again. If you want to get to World 6, if you want to get to Remnant Zone, you have to rebirth, and you have to do the game over again.
So it's a long game, but it's a quest, and it's a story to it, and there's so much of a beginning, and middle, and end. And it's, even though it's a grind, even though there's a lot of building up, and obviously finding parts, and building antennas, and getting into different worlds, biomes, and things like that, it's definitely a different setup than Bee Swarm Simulator, which is, again, there's no story, but it's more of just a grind and building.
Yes.
Defeating enemies and gaining experience points, health, and quests and things like that. But there's no storyline to it. But that's the difference between the two games, even though there are parallels.
Yeah, I have to say, Ghost Simulator has, like, there's a part of the story that's really reaches out, that really, like, there's a lot of NPCs that go into depth about, like, I do this, I should say I do this for like, I don't know, something like that. NPCs, it's like, it's usually when the bears in Bee Swarm Simulator was kind of like, well, actually no, they did do that in Bee Swarm Simulator 2 with the bears, but I'm saying, like, there's no in Ghost Simulator, there's definitely a story behind it, especially in they definitely reveal something near the end of the game. Well, of the first arc. When I say near the end of the game, I refer to first arc, because the second arc is Remnant Zone. Remnant Zone is second arc. That's World 6. That's not accessible without at least one rebirth. So when I mean first arc story, I mean towards the end of that. Towards it, yeah.
So I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. If there.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm pretty much done anyway.
So I know rewind the clock here a few years back in 1984. There was a movie called Ghostbusters, a very famous movie, and I know you haven't seen it yet, but we will be watching it, and I think
Okay.
you'll find it of great interest because they do capture ghosts in that, and they have their motivations. I won't reveal it, but I don't want to spoil that movie like you didn't want to spoil the game. So I think that's a game that, or a movie rather, that you'll find not only funny but entertaining, but very relatable to the kind of parallels to Ghost Simulator.
Yeah, although the concept of the main concept of Ghost Simulator is nice, where it's like vacuuming ghosts and stuff. It's a great concept, just like Beast Storm Simulator is. They all simulators have a different concept in them, like it's a different goal. Whereas Beast Storm was get pollen, get honey, buy better stuff. Same thing with Ghost Simulator, except it's vacuuming ghosts. You get better packs, vacuums, upgrade your antenna, higher biomes, higher worlds, and but what I like about Ghost Simulator is I think what Ghost Simulator what really reached out to me the most in that game was definitely the antennas. That was definitely the best aspect in the game, along with the insufficient antenna effect and like high tier biomes. That was what caught me the most. Although the concept of vacuuming ghosts was great, I just think that the antenna level system they really did everything right with that aspect. They really did.
Well, it must be exciting to kind of predict and what to see the next biome is going to be, but especially the next antenna and how the antenna is going to look. And then I can't imagine what it must feel like when you say, turn your computer on, look at it, go online, go on Roblox, and realize that there was an update or there was a release, and that huge reveal of what the new antenna is going to look like, or a new biome or something. That's got to be quite something. That's got to be quite an experience.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Although Beastorm is very popular, Beastorm is one big world. Beastorm is one world. It's not 6. It's just one. But it's a very grindy one. Very much more grindy than Ghost Simulator, because Ghost Simulator has a very spread out. Beastorm, they have one very grindy world, and I also have to say, with their types of updates, it's very repetitive. And although Ghost Simulator can be repetitive too, Ghost Simulator adding new NPCs, which Beastorm. Here's the thing: when Beastorm updates, it's just Beastmas usually, and it's once every year, basically, usually once every year, and it's one major update every year, and it's basically the same thing. With Ghost Simulator, it's every 2 weeks, and although it may be repetitive, it is an update to the game. And it's whether it's a new NPC or whether there's just this recent update, it was new antenna levels, new biomes, predicting more. Whereas Beastorm Simulator, you already know it's coming,
Right.
That's the thing. But with Ghost Simulator, you get to predict, what you get to guess,
So with Ghost Simulator, is there a development team or is it a single user again?
It's a development team.
It's a development team. So it's a development team. It's a company. It's
Blocks by Games.
Blocks by
Games. Yeah.
So I mean, are they relatively professional firm or professional group, or they're essentially a user, so. But they so that's another question I have is what are the rewards for, say, a developer who has a game that they release, like the 2 you mentioned? What would be the rewards for them? Are there monetary rewards? Are there
monetary
rewards for the number of subscribers they have?
So actually, I'm a bit inexperienced on this topic as well, but I would imagine it would either be monetary or Robux, which is the currency on the website, which can be used to, if you want to make a new avatar, or let's say like you've had game passes. Another thing I'd like to mention about Roblox is if you make game passes, what the cost of Robux that you make that game pass, a lot of it does go to Roblox instead of you. Mainly because you're using their platform.
Sure.
So a very small portion goes to you. But let's say someone buys the Agility Game Pass in Ghost Simulator, and the Agility requires 150 Robux to buy it, and this doubles your speed, basically your walking speed. So you get to move faster. And so that's 150 Robux. That's what they made this. So anytime someone buys that Game Pass, I think 90% goes to Roblox and only 10% goes to you. So that's a very small portion. So that's about, so let's see here. That's 15 times 9. That would be 135. So 135 would go to Roblox and 15 would go to the company. So
right. So
150 is very not as expensive as some of the other ones that they have on there. So some of them are like almost 1,000. So
to create an account on Roblox, you create the account, you come up with the username, etc.
yes,
But there's no
completely
subscription
free.
fee. It's completely free. But if you
It's
wanted
completely
to,
free.
but if you wanted, there are Robux that you purchase with US dollars or
Yes,
currency
or whatever
and
currency your country
or whatever
uses.
currency. So that being said, what are some of the things you mentioned in Avatar to, if you want to upgrade or create a new avatar and things like that? What are some of the other things that you can use for Robux?
So Robux is mainly generally used for avatar, like buying avatar items, and for game passes and games. That's really the two major things. I can't really think of anything else. Those are like the two major uses for Robux. I'm pretty sure. Oh, or actually no, audio was removed a long time ago, but it used to cost Robux to upload audio, but they removed audio. So
Okay.
if you want to create audio, it's completely free, but you get 10 uses per month. So so you said, so I think uploading a shirt, like if you want to create your own avatar items, I don't think you need to be a UGC creator for like shirts and stuff, or like
Yes.
t-shirts and stuff. I don't think you need to be UGC. It's just stuff for like, UGC is mainly for like 3D items. It's like hats, masks, you know, what else? Or whatever. Yeah, 3D clothing, any 3D clothing, you know,
So
or
if you
wings
were,
or whatever.
so do you have any ideas if you were going to create a game, or have you thought about it?
I'm not sure actually. That's what I'm still thinking about. You know, I'm trying to hold back on that for now, and really just learn about the Lua language really first, and really not just remember, it's not just about the programming. It's also about the designing and the animating and the just creating the whole, just creating a world is already like a lot of the work. So it takes a long time to build something like that.
I can't imagine. I mean, you have to basically design every finite detail of
Just
the
like Onet
world.
had to do
Yes.
in B-Storm Simulator, just like he had to do himself in B-Storm Simulator. Most likely, I heard he's solo. That's what I heard. Completely solo.
That's pretty impressive. That
That
somebody
is
just
very
solo.
impressive. That's someone solo makes a game like that, unlike Ghost Simulator, which I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, some of their development team in their credits has left.
Okay.
One of them being Coven K was very recently. She just left the development team, and I'm pretty sure. And there was another one that was, I think, a couple years back. I don't know how long ago it was, but it was a pretty long time ago. I think his name was Diddy1147, and this is their username. So, yeah, I think he left the development team a long time ago as well. So yeah, there's the base. Oh yeah, like creating music for the game. Just all the stuff like that. Just takes a long time.
So, I mean, you can actually, you don't upload the music, but you actually can create the music out of the language.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's
No.
how it works. I'm not sure. I'm not that experienced yet, so that's the thing.
Well, we'll definitely revisit it maybe down the road when you are, you know what I'm saying? We'll, as you
Yeah.
become more and more familiar, we'll do this again, and we'll
Yeah.
talk more about it and expand on it and things like that.
Yeah.
So, So, something else I wanted to ask you about. You have, moving on from video games and,
Cutting out a bit.
well, what's that?
You were
Go ahead.
cutting out a bit when you said that.
Oh, I said, if there's anything more about Roblox or Bee Swarm Simulator or any of those that the games you wanted to talk about, we'll move on from that. And I have another series of questions to ask you. Cut you short if there was anything.
I think I think I went into depth on those two. I think I really went into depth on those two games.
You did, and appreciate it. So, in school, you are now a senior in high school, and as a junior and everything, you were involved in plays.
Yes.
In drama, and I think you
yes
have a penchant, a big penchant for it, and you love it. So, tell me about what your favorite experiences were in some of the plays you've been in, and what are some of your fondest memories?
Oh Lord. Okay, so
it's a big question. We can break it up.
Oh yeah. So I remember being in all three plays last year. I remember including the spring musical. So the fall show and the winter show, which was Clue and Check Please. I loved those two, by the way. So
they were great. They were fantastic.
Oh yeah. I loved Annie as well, but Annie was much more difficult. Like Annie was extremely difficult to rehearse for.
Did a great job.
Oh yeah. Clue was a little bit easier, and Check Please was the easiest, like by far the easiest play that I've been in out of the three of them. So I would say you got to get used to I guess working under pressure, because when it comes to show week, you have to get dressed, you have to get your makeup done, you have to get everything, and it's a process. Like, oh no, I didn't do this, I need to get this done right now before the show starts, or before the run through starts, not the actual play yet, but it's just you gotta, it's one of those things where you have to develop the ability to work under pressure, and have all your props and everything. You ought to mention that, just everything like on the board, which is what we did do in Annie, which did help a lot. We each person was given a different task to do, there was like, here, do this first, like get hair and makeup done, get dressed, stuff like that in order, and see this person for makeup, and make sure all props are good. And if that's all done, just chill in your position.
So that being said, I remember to rewind the clock that I know the first one, I'm trying to think, Check Please was the second play.
Yes. Clue was the first
Clue
one.
was the first. That's right. Clue was the first. Clue game came before Check Please. So, in Clue, obviously there was much more to it than Check Please. That was so nice because it was just little skits and little sketches and little segments, and it was very broken up.
Yeah, that's what made Check Please a lot easier, was because there was no blocking. What I mean by blocking, I mean positioning on stage. There was no moving, there was no motion. You were at a table and you were sitting there, and that was basically scene by scene. By that, it was basically that. That's what made Check Please very easy. Clue and Annie were not like that. They
more involved with placements.
Yeah.
So going back to Clue. Nobody has stopped talking about and continues to talk about your grand entrance as Mr. Body, or fake Mr. Body. When you came out, it was quite the moment. Tell me about that. What that was like.
Well, coming in as Mr. Body was, I have to say, during that moment, although you may not have noticed, but I was extremely nervous in that moment. I was like, oh God, I'm doing it for real. I've been doing this for like over over like 2 months now, and now I have to do it for real, like in front of a whole audience. And it was like, just do what I've been doing for the past 2 months, So that
It
was
didn't
one of the
show that
reasons.
you were nervous.
It didn't show, so that means that says I did a pretty good job, I guess, but not showing it. But I was very nervous at the time. I was like, oh God, I have to walk through the store and I have to do it. But I wasn't late. Well, actually, no. During rehearsals, there were times where you can miss your cue, but I'm talking like during the real deal. There was no. I wasn't I wasn't late. I didn't miss a cue, even though no matter how much I wanted to just hold back, but I still went through anyway and just kept on with the play, because if you don't do that, you're affecting the play in a negative way by
Absolutely.
being late. Yeah, you have to. It's very real. You have to rely a lot on other people when it comes to the play. Um, I wanted to fast forward a bit to Annie, a good example
Sure.
of Annie. We had to really rely on a lot of people, but
It was
with Annie,
complex when I
oh my
complex.
God, yeah, Annie was a musical, so that was like dancing, singing, and I've always been shaky on my singing voice, so that's why that musical really scared me, was because that was a really big test. Unlike Clue and Check Please, Annie was very we was very reliant on blocking and with dancing, singing, and acting all together. Just Clue was just one of those three, and Check Please was only acting and no blocking, and Annie had all four: acting, singing, dancing, blocking. Every single one of those four was applied to Annie, which is why it was just so difficult in that play to rehearse for. Clue is about 2 months to rehearse for, when Check Please was only about. We only had 1 week of staying after school because most of it was in class, but Annie was like 3 months because there was just so much to it.
There was that was unbelievable. And because I was really watching the play, enjoying the play, and watching you, of course, and watching where you were, the movements, the placements, all these things. And again, you shine, and not only that, it was so complex and so intimidating. I was trying to put myself in your position and trying to put myself in some of the other actors' positions, and I said, I don't know how these. I mean, what a talented group of young adults that were in there. It was
It was
amazing.
it was hell. It was
I could,
it was a ride. It was a 3 months. That it was quite a 3 months. It was there 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 was a lot of just there was a lot of amends being done to in sort of blocking. We had to we had to readjust, because oh no, wait, we try. It's basically a lot of trial and error. The director um has to, we try one thing, we try to blocking, and we think it looks good, and then we try it and it's like, oh no, that looks very poor, very that doesn't look very good or very well.
yeah.
We should try something else, and then director basically did that until we got something that looked good, looked well, and we basically did that for every single scene, every single line of every single scene of every single song, and every single non-part of a song. Just everything in that show was just very, very difficult, and that's what just um musical scare me. That's all I can say. Unlike Clue and Check Please, which also did, but not nearly as much as Annie was. Annie was really oh my God, that was a ride.
Well, in Annie, what I found I I loved. I mean, it didn't show. You look supremely confident. You look supremely stoic. You took command. You were obviously Drake, the head of Daddy
Servants.
Warbucks servants, and
Grace was.
Grace was.
Miss Farrell was. I was like basically one below her.
One of the, but you were still you held a lot of command and power
Oh,
over
yeah.
the servants. You would just wave your hand and back them off, and they would go. I mean, you just commanded, your presence commanded a lot of respect from the servants, and they showed that. And
Yeah.
I found it interesting that you didn't break character even during the curtain call, so to speak, when everybody was bowing. You didn't break character, and when you walked down the
Yeah.
stairs after the play was over, and when you came out, you didn't.
Still didn't.
You did not break character. The only time you broke character is when you went backstage and you took your makeup off, so to speak, and got dressed in your quote unquote
No,
street
actually,
clothes.
not for the last, not for night 3. For the other 2 nights. For the night 1 where we did the play, I did break character backstage. You're right about that. Night 2 I tried to, but then I accidentally broke once. Night 3, the last night, I did not
You
at
didn't.
all. So whenever, no, not even backstage. So what happened is, if someone called me, if someone called Gherin, in the backstage, I would look at them in a weird way and I would say, "Who's that? How do you, and what kind of name is that? Can you like write it down for me?" It's just like, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Drake." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it's like, and then they would say something like, and then I would say like, I guess I must look a lot like this Gherin fellow or something. And just I would basically like semi-correct them, being like, I'm not, Garen's not here right now,
The
this is Drake
method
talking.
actor, right?
That was night 3 though. So night 2 I tried to do that and I accidentally broke once, but then I got back into it. But night 3 I was all the way.
Completely. Well, I remember
All the
even when
way.
you came out to say hello, you still were in your character, and I found that fascinating, and I found it incredible. To move to Check Please a little bit, I wanted to bring something up before I forget. In Check Please, you
Check Please was
channeled.
very easy.
Oh, phenomenal
Very
though.
easy.
Well, you had a small but very dramatic scene, and
that fits me. That fits me. I
it was
like
great.
yeah, it fits me a lot. So that's why it was so easy. There was no blocking, and the character that I got was very similar to my personality. I mean, not. I mean, with the character I played was an a-hole, but I mean, like their general personality was very similar to mine, which is why it was very easy to adjust to his role. Same thing with Mr. Body and Clue, because Mr. Body also had that dramatic role that I love a lot, which what made Annie so difficult was because I was given a role in Annie that was I had to readjust everything, because the other 2 roles that I had were very dramatic, and Drake is not that at all. So
you
that
had to
was
be
very
more
hard to
subdued,
readjust to.
but you were still a presence. And in Check Please, you channeled a favorite character of yours from a television show, and you could
Gus
see
Fring.
that Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, and you could see it. And when you told me, I saw it even more, but I definitely recognized it. Just that intimidating, cold, menacing stare, and then from yes, it was
You don't mind, do you?
And you could even see your co-actor on the stage. You could see her react to it, and her reaction was somewhat authentic, or I would say authentic, because you changed demeanor so quickly, and we're actually it was quite menacing, quite frightening, and you could see it. It was just such a dramatic shift.
Yeah. I really I think Check Please was probably my favorite, because it had it really because I should say Check Please was the easiest, and I would say it was my favorite because it was there was very much like it was very less pressured. It wasn't as pressured as Clue and Annie were. I mean, Clue was a little bit was pretty easy as well. It was hard at first, but then it was easy to get used to. Annie was always like, oh god, like,
Oh yeah, no, it was quite the production. And then of course Clue again, your presence in it was phenomenal. The suit, I love the suit. I love some of the moves that you made. They were very the suit kind of reminded me almost like Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. I don't know if you've
oh
ever
my god,
seen it. Yeah, where you had the white the white suit and the vest and everything,
yeah,
but and the way you spun around and everything. But again, it was you were such a presence, and you were almost mocking the characters in there. You took control when you came in, and they all just you took the air out of the room, and you could see it. And it was just an incredible entrance.
Even when I was dead twice. Yeah. Even when I was dead, the damage I did was already done to them.
It was done.
Like the damage I did was done. Like even after my death, I knew what I was doing with them. Like they all had their flaws, and I knew it was gonna happen. Like even after I died, like even though like the damage was done with them, like
No, it was effective. And the next play is Harvey.
And I'm hoping to try out for that. I'm hoping to audition for that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you will. And when is that generally? I mean, not the exact date, of course, but when is it? When is it in general? If you don't know, it's okay. We'll find that out. But
I don't know. I think auditions are a little bit later this month. Okay. I'm not sure, but yeah. I mean, personally, I definitely the winter show you're automatically put in. I don't need to audition for that. Well, you do for in case like the character you want, but I mean, if you're in acting 3, you're automatically put in the winter show. So there's no that's to the acting 3 students. You don't have to try out for that. You're already in there. Right. The fall show and the spring musical, you do have to try out for. The fall play I definitely want to go for. Harvey, I've read that in my sophomore year. I loved the story of it. I loved it so much. Crom I haven't heard of, but that's a winter show. So and the spring musical, I'm actually shaky on that. Just like I was with Annie, and because of the experience with Annie, I heard that Putnam County is possible to be even harder than Annie was. So I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm not sure if I want to go through that again. I really want to make sure, like, before I go for a musical, I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with my singing voice, which unfortunately I am not at the moment. So until that happens, until I'm like absolutely confident with my singing voice, I want to hold back on that. On the spring musical, but definitely Harvey, Chrome, definitely 100. I definitely want to go for Harvey. I really do.
And how many plays are there in a year? Did you say there's 3 or
3?
There's 3.
There's 3.
So there's Harvey, and then you said the spring music Chrome, and what about the other play? Do you know the name of it yet?
The winter show is Chrome, and spring musical is the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. That's the name of it.
Oh, that was what it was. Okay,
that's what it was. That's the musical.
That's that. I mean, I would go after it and see what happens, and just have fun with it and expand your abilities. But it's up to you.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, yeah, I'm because how it was with Annie, after the pressure thing, like, working under pressure, like that wasn't as bad. I mean, that because it wasn't as bad in Clue and Check Please. There was like no pressure in Check Please, actually. The pressure in Annie was it was really bad. Like there was a lot of work under pressure. So there was a lot of that. So to think about, doing that again and possibly even worse, it just makes me, until I'm comfortable with singing, I want to hold back from it, which I think having 5 shows at the school is good to stop. I think that's a really good amount of shows to be in,
Oh, absolutely. And what experience, they're all very different. They're all very, in their own way, they're very unique, and you play different, energies in each one of them. So, so that being said, you're going to graduate in the upcoming spring. After that, that's kind of my next question. What's your thoughts on acting or drama continuing after high school?
So that has been really back and forth on me, actually. At first I was thinking college, but now I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to, put the money and the effort into college if for a career that, because since I have two different pathways, which of course I can duo if I want to, but I'm not sure if I want to duo. I'm not sure if I want to just do one or the other, if I want to do both, or even do something else. But really those main two, I'm not sure if, to put college into that, to put money and a lot of time and effort, 4 years into that, for a career that I decide not to do anyway, that's, I don't like to use the word waste, but I would say it kind of is, would be a waste of money to pursue a college major that you're not even going to do in your later life anyway, to
No,
think of that,
I
'cause
know
that's,
a
yeah.
lot of people feel that way. So if you could, say for instance, if you could go to school for something that you'd want to do, what would it be if you know right now? And if you don't, that's okay.
I'm not 100% sure actually. I'm really not sure yet actually. Yeah.
So school, no school, however that works out, what would, if you could do anything you wanted to do, if that's formulated at this point, you said there were two kind of different thoughts in mind, what would, if there were, say, no obstacles of any sort, or if money wasn't an object or anything like that,
Mhm.
what would, if you followed your heart and you followed your passion and you followed what you really wanted to do and you could do it, what would it be?
Yeah, that's actually really it's actually really difficult to think about because they both kind of equally stand out to me actually because I feel like both pathways of them just I guess it really depends on my mood. Like I'm not sure, like I feel like sometimes that, like, I guess, I mean, some days I might say acting, some days I might say video gaming, and I say video game designing, and just, to think about like one or the other just as like a definitive answer is just, although
What
there's
if you
no
could do both?
obstacle.
What if you could do both?
If I could do both with the time, with like the time and like energy, then yeah. I mean, if that, yeah, then I probably would if I wanted to do both, and I could. But I also want to make sure, I also have that time to like, you know, rest and
Oh,
everything.
of course. Yeah, you have
Of
to find
course,
the work-life balance. But I'm just saying, just if you were to kind of like just a creative process, if you were to be able to have that freedom to say, okay, money wasn't an object, time wasn't an object. If we could remove all those obstacles, what would you really love to do? And of course, that always changes. People sometimes don't know
yeah,
until they're much older than 17 years old to know what they want to be and what they want to do. And some people never really ever decide. They just do what they do. And I mean, so many people get stuck in 9 to 5 jobs that they don't like, and
they don't want to
that's
be in. And
right. So, I mean, hey, but you have to follow what your passions are, and again, your passions that may change, but
yeah,
so last year, kind of winding down here, but I wanted to, last year you took astronomy.
yes, I did. That is another a little bit on a little bit on the lesser side than the two major competitive ones, which is, acting and video game designing. But astronomy is there on that list as well. Not as big as the two that I listed before, but it's there. It's present. Um, so anyways, you were saying? Yes, I did. I
Oh
did
no,
read astronomy.
you took astronomy, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. What interested you the most, and why do you like it, and what's so fascinating to you about it?
Oh, I loved everything about that class. Like that class was like that saved my junior year basically. I shouldn't say saved. I mean, when I mean saved as in nothing academic wise was, well, actually no, UConn Chem actually really screwed me over in my junior year. But I mean, what I mean is really saved me in my junior year. What I really mean by that is what made me have fun that year. Um Obviously nothing really saved my junior year from probably being my worst year of the 3 that I had at the high school. I would definitely, sophomore year was my best year. I have to say it right now. Sophomore was my best year. Great teachers. I had great teachers in my junior year as well, um, but there were just a couple, and I'm not getting out any names. Of course, I'm not going to do that.
No, that's okay.
But I will say this exclusively to astronomy. Both the teacher and the class itself, it just everything about that class I loved. It was just my astronomy class, just everything about it. My teacher was amazing. Um, the assignments even were fun. The end like exam, like project, was fun. Like I was actually that was like the only exam I was looking forward to, you know. The other
Okay.
ones I was like, the other ones I was like, ugh, like this, like I have to sit here for 2 hours, and astronomy was like, oh, I can't wait to do this, I can't wait to draw this from scratch. Like I loved that class. That was my best class in my junior year, period.
So what was I mean, I know you said you loved everything about it, but what stood out for you? Was it the study of planets, the study of stars, galaxies, nebulas, novas, supernovas, black holes? What interests
Oh
you the
God,
most about astronomy?
I have to say all the above of what you just said. Just really just the whole subject itself. I it's hard to. I mean, I think actually I take that back. I'm definitely a lot of it did, but I think the stars and the or I mean, actually, yeah, way planets work, and I would also have to say the light spectrum. That also I really liked
Light
that
spectrum.
concept as well. How we only just see a little tiny portion of what we're seeing. I mean, of what exists, basically, just a little smidge.
A little small window of it. That reality is
Little
much
small.
different than right. Reality is much different than what we see. There's much more to it.
Yeah, a lot
And
more actually.
even in our hearing spectrum, what we hear is just a small portion of what actually is happening. So
Hmm.
reality is much different than our experience. There's much more to it on so many levels. So that being said, let's just take a random example, the black hole. What's your
Hmm.
thoughts on a black hole? What do you think it is? I mean, I know that, from a basic standpoint, it's the belief that a large star obviously nears the end of its life, consumes itself, ex- explodes, and a gravity well is created that's so dense that
So
it's in
powerful that nothing can escape it, and not even light.
no.
Absolutely nothing can escape it. Nothing.
And there's the event
It's
horizon that again, there's the event horizon where it's the point of no return, and all the physics of relativity and the theory of relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity, breaks down past the event horizon, and then you get to the point of infinite density, which is the singularity. But
Yeah, it's an irrevocable process.
it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no coming back from it, and time and space as we know it break down there. So what do you think is the essence of why that happens? Just again, creative experiment.
Well, again,
That's
there's
all.
there's so much little that we know. So I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's beyond a black hole. I mean, of course, by how strong its gravity is, you'd be dead in a matter of like you'd be dead like that. You'd be spaghettified, and you'd be killed like
Spaghettified,
that. Yeah.
drawn out. Your
But
your fate would be
it's
consumed.
yeah, it's it makes me think, like what would be what if there's something beyond that black hole,
Right.
you know?
Many theories speculate that there's a white hole and there's another universe on the other side of that, and that actually that the death of a star in this universe, and if you believe in the multiverse theory, where there's multiple universes that exist or coexist with our universe, just like obviously there's different galaxies. Well, and we have the entire universe, but what if there's other parallel universes, and the star dies, the large star dies, a supernova with a black hole in the middle, and could our Big Bang be a white hole? Could the birth of our universe actually be a parallel death of a star in a parallel universe, or coinciding death of a star in another universe? And all the matter that falls into a black hole on this side, a black hole on that other universe, is actually our event of the birth of our universe, the Big Bang, a white hole, if it goes somewhere, it has to come out somewhere. That, you know, if it goes in somewhere, it has to come out somewhere, and that's one of the things.
It's how our bodies work too.
Oh, it does. Yes,
Yeah, so
it
that's how our
does.
bodies
Well,
work too.
that's the laws of physics, right? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
But
I think the whole concept of something like that is with how much little we know and how big even just what this universe is, and we're not even sure if there's more beyond it. Nothing's really impossible. Nothing really is
no,
impossible.
it's
Nothing.
theoretical physics, right?
There's even a
So
theory that this whole thing's a simulation. Like, you know, there's that too. So, and when you die, you come out of it, you know. So
right,
you know, it's just nothing's impossible, because the thing is, like, when we think about, you know, if someone's dead, like we can't talk to them. You want to know why? Because they're gone, or we can't communicate with them anymore. And same thing vice versa. They can't speak with us anymore either. So they can't tell us what's on the other side because they have lost the communication to us. If you think about it that way.
right, yeah, and especially if it's a simulation, they've been unplugged from their avatar, so to speak, and they can't no longer.
They can't speak to us. We can't speak to them.
So, what about your favorite planet? What is your favorite planet?
Oh God, especially by like coloring, I'd have to say Uranus.
Which is an unusual pick. Most people pick Saturn. Why Uranus?
Oh God, I love the cyan or teal color of Uranus. I just love the parts that that are green, like part like green about it. Like I don't know, the coloring about it is just I love how smooth it looks as well. Just that when I look at pictures of Uranus, it looks so smooth, you know? You know what I mean?
I do, yeah, and it's
Yeah,
tilted
Uranus
on
is
its side, obviously.
it's tilted and it's very smooth, and it's just the coloring, I love it. I
It's
I know Uranus is not a popular pick, but
no, but
I would go with that. Yeah.
that's what makes you fascinating, is because you pick things like that and you have your reasons, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, most people, they say, "Oh, Saturn and the rings of Saturn," which obviously is
Wouldn't want to go there
understandable.
because I would die. I'd be killed even before I got there. But
Oh yeah, yeah, Uranus.
no, we don't
I
want to
think
go
that
there. But
no, but no. But that being said, you know, we're looking to go back to the moon and do some experiments on the moon too. Not to change, well, to change gears a little bit. Looking to go back to the moon and use that as a testing ground for a mission to colonize Mars. What are your thoughts on colonizing Mars? Should we leave it alone, or should we actually try to find another home, or another place to go if we can't, if Earth becomes uninhabitable? Should we have a backup plan, such as Mars
I
or
think
another?
Mars would. I think Mars would be our best bet because Mars is the closest place we got. You know, if there's if there's something else out there, it's gonna take way too long to get there. You know, it's gonna take way too long. With Mars, even with just Mars, it's 9 months. That's a 9-month trip.
Right, the right timing.
If
9 months
if 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 they're lined up,
if they're lined up, right?
if they're lined up, which we can't always assume that. In
So
fact, we can almost never assume that actually.
no, we have to time. We have to do the
We can
math
almost
and time it. Get there. So if you had a
so
chance to, oh, go ahead.
so yeah, Mars. I would think Mars would be our best bet. Um, if Earth was dying, which right now, because it's not, we should leave it alone. We should leave Mars alone, unless terraforming Mars is going to be like a big process, which it will be a big process. So, you know, I think it would be. I think Mars would be a good bet actually to go for. Yeah.
Do you think there's life in the universe other than this planet?
Oh God, yeah. There's no way that we're the only ones. No way.
If there, if there's life in the solar system other than us, where do you think it might be?
Well, I'm not even sure if it would be in the solar system. I think maybe in solar system it might be just be us, but um, I'm oh, but others out there. Oh God, gotta be 100%. Like, there's no way we're the only ones. But I think if we're talking just specifically solar system, I think so. I think we're probably the only ones. But other than that, we're talking like vast, big place. You know, there's no way we're the only ones. We're not even a dot.
No, we're a
We're
speck of dust on a speck of dust.
not even that. Even smaller. Not even that.
Even smaller. So, all right. I figured we'll do this again. We'll do this again.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, but we'll do this again. We'll wrap this up now and we'll revisit it. We'll talk about some more subjects we talk about. Obviously, your upcoming plays when Harvey, the next one, right? The next one is Harvey, if you hope to audition for. And school, obviously, senior year, as that evolves, you're just getting started now. And more updates to Ghost Simulator.
Along the way. Every 2 Fridays.
Every 2 Fridays.
Yep.
So more to talk about in the upcoming weeks, months, so on and so forth. So we'll revisit. Unless there's anything else you wanted to discuss. We covered it.
I think this is good.
We've been at it for a while, so
yeah.
It's good. I figured we'd covered. Okay. Gherin, thank you. I appreciate you doing this.
All right.
All right.
I'll see you, Dad.
Talk soon. I love you.
All right. Love you.